Welcome to Stupid Money. Not that money is stupid. Most of us would love to have more of it, but sometimes we make stupid decisions with it. But you don't have to. This is the show that unpacks how to stop making stupid decisions so you can be smarter with your money and have a happier, fulfilled life. Join us today as we tackle budgets. Thank you for joining us. I'm Diana, and I'm here with John and Vivian. John, what's a crazy, stupid thing we do with our money?
Too many people spend $5 for a 10-cent cup of coffee.
Ooh, don't we though? Vivian, what about you?
Well, we max out our credit cards. Too many people do that. Max out their credit cards, and then they only pay the minimum amount.
Ouch. So stupid, and yet so easy to do. But John, nobody wants to be riddled with credit card debt. Nobody wants to have financial instability. How do we avoid it?
It's pretty hard unless you make certain decisions. First of all these possessions and all this stuff is where we find our identity, especially in modern day culture. But that's really a dead-end street. If we want to have our identity in its proper order, let's take Psalms 24, verse 1. God owns everything. So that means he owns our money. And if we want to reflect his identity, it's going to show up in how we manage our money. That's why a budget is so important, because it's right smack in the middle of finances. It affects retirement, it affects investing, it affects monthly spending, everything we do. It's right there.
Wow, so budget reflects me, it reflects whose I am.
Yes.
I can't wait to really unpack that further. But before we do, I heard you took the budget question to the streets.
Oh yes, New York City is always a surprise.
That sounds fascinating. Let's take a look.
Finish this sentence. A budget is
what we need to stick to if we're going to send the kids to college.
Constraining.
You speak from experience?
A lot of experience.
A budget is being good stewards of our money and how we as a family decide to spend it.
How well do you do at budgeting your personal finances?
Not too well. I'm really a spender.
Well, it's easy. I always try to spend less than I earn.
I'm not terrible at it. I make a budget every week, like using an Excel spreadsheet, and I actually record everything I spend. But then it just becomes a record of everything I spend.
As quick as the money comes in, it goes right back out again. and when it's net is zero and it's not negative, we did good.
Well, the money comes in and you know how much you've got for the month and the money goes out. So try and keep within the budget, saving up for things that I really want to buy, big purchases, and having a few little extravagances along the way, but knowing there's a bigger picture, as in I don't want to pay credit card fees. So
you actually have line item, line item, line item, line item in a budget on paper?
No, more like in my head and notes.
What percentage of Americans do you think have a budget?
I would say very low. I would say a very low percentage.
Maybe 40%.
What about you, Emily?
I would go lower.
20%?
Maybe only 25%.
Well, that's pretty right on it. 25 to 30, 2/3%.
That was interesting, John. Did anything stand out?
Well, in a way, it was a little bit surprising that a number of people said they had a budget.
Yeah, it's true,
But
they did.
when we talked with them, it seemed like it was in their head more than on paper or in a computer. And you've got to get it out of your head. You can't do this just in your head. You've got to get it out to look at it.
I have a feeling that maybe you've never struggled having a budget.
A couple of times. One of the biggest times is I bought a motorcycle. 1968 Sportster.
Oh, you're tight.
And
That's
I got
why
this
tied
Sportster.
in.
It had a long front end, a sissy bar, but it was nothing but a big piece of junk. And I got it home. I was renting a room from a lady, and the generator was wet, so I stuck it in the oven. And then I got grease on her carpet because I was working on this thing on the inside, and she made me relocate.
Yeah, I bet she did.
And then it sat in my home or my parents' home while I was in college, and ended up selling it at 50% of what I bought it for.
Wow.
So it's a very expensive lesson, and all I have left are 2 pistons, 1968 Kickstarter.
On our table, left over from your joyride.
If I would have had a budget or committed to a financial plan, I wouldn't have wasted so much money on
That was the key point from
that. That was the key point. I've never forgotten it. Of course, these remind me.
I bet they do. Vivian, what is a budget?
Well, a budget is, like John said, a plan, but it's a written plan that manages your finances.
So good old-fashioned pen and paper?
Pen and paper, or you can go to a computer. You know, there are apps. There are lots of ways to do a budget. Even your bank, you know, they have ways that you can go online and just do your budget. Simple.
Yeah, we'd like to even walk you through a budget.
Oh, will you?
Right in front of us. Here, they put it up on the screen. And Vivian's going to walk us through this thing.
Yeah, a monthly budget. But before you get started with your budget, Diana, you must begin first with figuring out what your expenses are. And
How do I do that?
How best to do that is to get your receipts, keep your receipts for 1 month, for 30 days.
Okay, I can do that.
You can do that. Put those receipts maybe in a shoebox or in envelopes, whatever. But you're going to be able to see exactly where you're spending your money. And there are going to be some surprises. You're going to be real surprises how you're and do it with your credit cards as well as your cash. So you want to see how you're spending your money. And after you do that, then you're going to go and you're going to put that information into a written budget. You're going to put everything down, and then you're going to be able to see where your money's going. You're going to put them into 2 different categories.
Got it.
What's the first thing we're going to do?
The first thing you're going to do, though, is you're going to look at your income, because you got to know if I'm making enough money to afford all this stuff, or what am I actually living on. So you're going to look at your income, and your income is going to be, you know, of course, what you're making. But do you take home all that money you're making?
I don't, unfortunately.
No, you don't. Some of it you got to give to Uncle Sam, you know, and to other places.
Right.
So after all of that is taken out, that's called your net spendable income, the money that you can actually spend.
Have you heard of that text, Matthew 6:33?
I have, but seek ye first.
Seek ye first. How does that work with a budget?
With the budget, tithe. Are you going to give back to God? So first off, you're going to give back to God. And so seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. After you return back to God, that first 10%, the rest of it he's going to take care of.
So what is this row of numbers right here?
This row of numbers he's speaking of is talking about the various percentages that you're going to allocate to the various expenses.
So this is a budget based on percentages.
It's a budget based on percentages.
But if I don't have enough money to fund all these at that level, what do I do?
You have 2 levels of expenses: fixed expenses, which is what? House payments, your mortgage,
utilities.
And then your not your utilities, those are variable because they change from time to time. So from your fixed expenses, you're going to put in those numbers, and then your variables are the expenses that will change. That's where you can make changes if you don't have enough money.
So Vivian, how long is this type of budget going to take me?
It's only going to take you about an hour to an hour and a half to put this information in, John.
Now, what do you do for a living? You're an accountant, right?
I'm an accountant.
I'm a preacher. Is that because I can download it, or can I come to your office and say, will you help me with this?
Yes, John. I will help anyone because this is so important. So yes, you can download it, but it will only take you about an hour and a half, because you've already done the pre-work. You've put those receipts together, so you have all that done. So you've already done the pre-work.
It's all input at this point.
So how often should I look at this?
You should look at this at the end of each month. because you want to know if you're right on track with what you've already planned. You know, you've set your plan, this is what I want to do, but at the end of the month, you need to compare to see if you're really doing it.
So it's no good if I do it once and don't check in?
No, it's no good to just put it in and not, you know, look at it, because you've got to see if you're on track. Because sometimes we see those fancy things we want to buy, but if you don't have it in the budget, you shouldn't buy it.
In light of those fancy things, how much should I save?
You should save. That's a good question, because it's very important to save. You should give back to God first and then pay yourself first. 10 to 15%. Do you think that's possible?
I think it's absolutely possible.
I believe it is also. 10 to 15% should be your savings. Now, if you can't do that, some of that is paying off credit card debts. So you're going to put a percentage toward that. You're going to put a percentage towards just saving, a percentage toward retirement. So that's all included in that. So if you don't have enough for all of that right now, you make sure you make certain that you do it later.
Cool. Diana, if you want this, go to our website. You can download it.
And what's that?
NADstewardship.org.
NADstewardship.org. So for those of us, like me, who would rather take John and Vivian home, but can't, stick around and we'll unpack some more tips.
Hi there. On today's Money Hack, we're looking at the cost of eating out versus cooking at home. Like most people, I enjoy a good restaurant. Thai, Italian, ice cream, so good. But eating out can get kind of pricey compared to cooking at home. Exactly how pricey? Well, let's find out. I'm gonna make a burger and fries and compare how much it costs versus eating the same meal at a restaurant. Burgers and fries vary in price, so we're gonna take a look at 3 popular burger restaurants: Red Robin, Five Guys, and McDonald's. Red Robin's average gourmet burger costs $9.99 plus tax. It comes with all-you-can-eat bottomless fries, but we also need to include a 15% tip. So the total comes in at $12.26. Five Guys' average burger costs $6.99 plus tax and doesn't include fries. Their cheapest fries cost $3.09, which is a large serving. So our Five Guys total is $10.87. As you likely guess, McDonald's is much cheaper. A Big Mac runs $3.99, and you can add a medium-sized order of fries for $1.79. Add tax and your total is $6.23. If you buy the cheaper and smaller cheeseburger, it's $1 and the medium fries is $1.79, your total is $3.01. Now let's see how that compares to making a burger and fries at home. First, let's cut up some potatoes and get them baking in the oven. I use a little olive oil and salt. A large serving of home-baked fries is about 1.5 potatoes, which costs about 25 cents. Our bun costs 25 cents, and our garden burger costs $1. Then we'll add some lettuce, 5 cents, onions, 5 cents, a few pickles at 2 cents, avocado, 25 cents, tomato, 15 cents. For condiments, we'll add 15 cents to cover our mayo, mustard, and ketchup. So our homemade burger tallies up at $1.92, and fries come out to a total of 25 cents. I'll throw in a few carrot sticks, which costs about 7 cents, bringing our grand total for the entire meal to $2.24. As you can see, even the McDonald's cheeseburger is more expensive than making a burger and fries at home. And when you look at a more comparable gourmet burger, like Red Robin, the price difference is a whopping $10.02. If you save that much once a week over the course of a year, you'd save $521.04. According to the Federal Reserve Board, almost 50% of Americans don't have $400 on hand for an unplanned expense or emergency. As you can see, that small amount could be funded just by cutting back on eating out. And we didn't even talk about the health benefits. Thanks for joining us on today's Money Hack.
Budgets have a great impact on your whole life, but there might be a little more to budgets than you think. Let's check in with Dave and his buddy Clyde, the talking dodo bird. Welcome to Stewardship for Dummies.
Did she just say what I think she said? Welcome to Stewardship for Dummies?
Yeah, I think that's what she said.
I'm sure glad she wasn't talking to me.
What makes you think she wasn't talking to you?
Because she said Dunny and on a dodo, so she must have been talking to you.
Maybe she was, Clyde, but do you even know why we're here?
Talking about Dunnies?
No, we're here to talk about and discuss how to make a budget.
Budget? I already know how to make a budget.
You do? Well, that's great. Maybe you can explain to me how to make a budget.
It's so simple. You start with the money you have, then you spend it, and you keep spending till you run out of money. That's how simple it is.
Clyde, I think there's much more to making a budget than that.
If you thought so, then why did you ask me?
I was hoping you could explain to me why some people buy houses and cars and boats and items they can't afford.
Well, that's easy. All us dodos know that.
Okay, how?
Well, we get 2 or 3 jobs. Then the more money we make, the more money we can spend.
But if you have so many jobs, you're not going to have any time left to enjoy the things that you just bought. I really think that's why people need a budget.
Okay, you convinced me. So, how do you make a budget?
Well, it's simple. You start off by writing things down.
Oh, I get it. Then you write down how much money you need to spend for doctors and house payments and such, food.
Yeah.
See, told you, I'm a dodo, not a dunny.
Well, what about a savings?
Savings? What do I need to save money for?
Well, you never know when you'll need some cash for a rainy day.
David, you don't need cash for a rainy day. You need an umbrella.
Look, I'm not talking about a real rainy day. I'm talking about an unexpected expense.
Like the day my treehouse started leaking?
Exactly. See, if you'd had a savings, you could have fixed it.
You know, I'm starting to see that this is pretty simple stuff. Any dodo can do it, even a dunny.
Why are you looking at me?
If the shoe fits, wear it.
After a quick break, we have a special guest interview. Sacramento, California is home to Dustin, someone with a true heart for mission and business knack to boot. He will share lessons from his journey, sure to inspire you.
I'm John Matthews. Welcome to Stupid Money. I love to talk to people about the crazy things they do. We're in the suburbs of Sacramento, California. I'm with Dustin Aho. Welcome to our program.
I'm glad to be here.
We're talking about budgets today in this episode. And I would like for you to tell me, let's say you're out of college, and how did you get involved in personal finance?
I think my relationship with personal finance started way before college. I grew up as a missionary's kid, and as a missionary's kid, there was this mindset that somehow making money or having money was almost evil or wrong. And so early on, it was, well, we're not going to have that much money, and I decided that I wanted to live my life in a way that was intentional, live my life in a way where I was smart about my money.
So what did you start doing?
So I started investing early on. I think that was my big thing, is I thought, somehow I learned this concept that early investments, the way that they pay off, compounding interest and all of these terms, it blew my mind. And I decided that after college, right after college, I started investing early. And I did that for about 5 or 6 years until I had a significant turning point in my life.
All right, that's good. What's the turning point? And investing is good, but we're talking about budgets.
Yep.
What did that have something to do with the turning point? What's the turning point?
It had a lot to do with the turning point. So I started investing early on in silver. And something about it told me in my gut that, okay, this is a little bit shady or a little uncertain, but anyway, I ran with it. I was getting good returns, and so by the time I was 24, 25, I had about 450 grand invested into silver. And so I was riding this, and I was feeling pretty good about my life. I've got good investments going. I'm ahead of the curve, all of these things. And then one day I got a phone call that said, Dustin, I got some bad news. It was a buddy of mine who had about 4 or 5 million invested in the same company. And he said, the company's gone. It's done.
Uh-oh.
450 grand is gone. At this time, my wife and I were married. We were depending on that money to pay off student loan debt. We had about $70,000 worth of student loan debt, and we were going to buy a house. And so I remember my 450 grand overnight was gone. And so I went home. I started laughing, kind of a nervous laugh in front of my wife. And I said, well, Lindsay, looks like we're going to do this the hard way. We had the easy way, we had the easy track, we thought we were there, but it looks like we're going to have to do this the hard way. And so we sat down, and I was working on a pastor's salary at the time. She was just finishing school. So we said we got to set a strict budget, and we're going to have to claw our way out of this debt situation and get back on the right track.
So before you sat down to do that serious budget, you were just kind of freewheeling and got a wake-up call. Then what did you do with the budget?
Okay, so my wife would just finish PT school, and we decided that we were living in a mobile home at the time. I was driving a 50cc scooter, a little scooter because it was super close to work, and my wife was driving this old beat-up Ford Focus. And so we just concluded at that point we were going to keep our living level the same. We were going to live on one salary, and then when she went back to work, we were going to channel all of her money into paying off our debt.
Did you teach yourself how to do this, or did you have some college classes, or just aftermarket, I call these classes you can learn online and on the radio and stuff? How did you learn that budget process?
So I did do some classes in college, but at the time I can't say that I paid attention. It actually was one of my worst grades in college, was the personal finance class. Really, the online software and the resources that are available now are so easy to use if you just invest a little bit of time into trying to use them. The software that I used, it's literally you go in a couple hours, you build in what you want to spend, you can look at the history of what you've spent, and it'll track everything for you in real time, so you can very easily see, am I hitting my budget, am I over my budget, where am I at in that process?
You make it sound almost too easy. But you spend time working on this, and that was because of a wake-up call. You lost a lot of money. So you're sitting down with your wife. How did you go about nailing down that budget?
So I think the first and most important thing when it comes to having this conversation with your spouse is you got to sit down and have a real conversation about goals. Personal finance at the end of the day is personal. You can get a lot of advice from a lot of places, but it comes down to what are your goals and what are you, as a married couple, where do you want to be? So we sat down and we said, okay, here are our goals. We want to be out of debt. We want to be free from debt. We want to save up money for a down payment on a house. And then we need to buy some new transport. So step one was we need to live on one income. We're both bringing in income now. We've never had two incomes, so we need to figure out how to live on one income. Step two, we need to not make stupid purchases and make big expenses.
That takes discipline.
Here's a prime example. We sat down and said, how much are we spending on food every month? We thought it was probably a few $100. And then we started tracking it. The first step in budgeting is just tracking so that you know where you're spending. And we were spending $1,100, $1,200 a month on food. Wow. And we said, this is ridiculous. So we set a budget at $500 a month.
Would you eat out a lot?
We were. At the time, we were eating out a lot. And we set a budget at $500 a month. We said, this is just what we're going to spend. And so that budget forced us to plan differently. We started shopping differently, doing meal planning, and then really being intentional about the times that we went out to eat. And what we found is right off the top, we were saving $600, $700 a month on food that really we were then paying for an extra gym membership just to be able to wear off that food. So what's the difference?
Yeah. So planning this budget, you were actually planning to live within your income.
Yes. One income, not two.
Question.
Yeah.
Can one person plan a budget for two people?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
Why?
not. Because one person has their own dreams, their own goals, and if the second person isn't involved in that, it's just going to be a massive debate constantly. This is your vision, these are your goals, this isn't what I wanted, I want this, and you just can't do it. It's got to be a two-person process.
What did you find as a common mistake you made?
So the common things where we didn't budget for all the little stuff that well, you know, the little household things that you don't think about. And we went too tight on certain components. That was where budgets often fail is twofold. First of all, when you aren't intentional enough and you design too big of a budget. And then the second way a budget fails is people get really excited. It's like a workout plan. I'm going to do a diet and I'm going to work out super hard and I'm going to lose 30 pounds in a month. That's what people try to do with budgets, and they set the budget so tight that you can't live within that reality, life isn't fun, and then you just give up within a few weeks.
Suppose I come to you, and I don't know much about family finance. What would be your best counsel to me?
My best counsel is you need to start telling your money where to go before it tells you where to go.
Those are big decisions that must be made when you're looking at developing a budget. Dustin, thanks so much. You're an inspiration. I hope the people that listen to you teach will take your advice. I'm John Matthews, and this is Stupid Money. We'll be right back. You know, as I listened to him tell that story, all I could think of, and we might not like it, but experience is the best teacher.
Isn't it though? Always.
And it's amazing that he is so young and he learned so much in such a short time.
Well, with his whole life ahead of him.
Yes, that is
Vivian,
great.
you were telling me though that you learned a couple lessons.
Oh, I did, Diana. And the lesson I learned was, first of all, you don't go shopping when you're hungry.
Nope.
And you don't go shopping with a bunch of women.
Okay.
So it wasn't food.
I'm not in this picture.
I was very hungry because I was pregnant. I was 8 months pregnant.
Yeah, for good reason.
I went shopping with a bunch of women, and I went shoe shopping. And they were having this great sale. I bought 20 pairs of shoes.
20 pairs of shoes?
I bought 20 pairs of shoes because they were so...
All the same kind?
They were all flats. Because I was pregnant. That makes sense, right?
Well, at least that was appropriate to the season.
But unfortunately, because I was 8 months pregnant, my feet were swollen. So I got to wear those shoes very few times. So that was a very valuable lesson.
Don't shop when you're
Don't
pregnant.
shop when you're hungry.
Don't shop when you're hungry.
Don't shop when you're hungry.
That's
and don't
almost
shop.
one pair per day. What did Harold say about that?
He was like, what happened?
John, when it comes to budgeting though, what's a takeaway that you can share with us?
It's very simple. A budget is a financial plan for your life.
A financial plan for my life. I don't know about you, but I've been challenged to take budgeting more seriously. I hope you join us again next time for Stupid Money.